want to make, I know that some of the content that I want to make coming up is in the same vein of like horror and disturbing shit, but I don't know exactly like, because you and I have also talked about like, you know, I want to have a thing I'm trying to say in my short films sometimes, but I also feel like if you make yourself have something to say, then sometimes it's a little cringy and on the nose.
Yeah, and it might kind of take away from, you know, putting all your brain power into that might take away from some breakthrough on set or something.
Right.
You know?
If I'm
you have
like,
to leave it somewhat open-ended in my experience. You know?
Basically, if I tell myself like, okay, you're going to tell an analogy, you're going to tell a story that's an analogy for depression. By the time I edit the video, I'm like, it's like on the nose, it's preachy.
Just like makes you more depressed.
Exactly. It's like everybody gets what I'm trying to say. Why am I trying to like veil it in analogies and like
But I mean, not to say that, I mean, these chairs are creaky as hell.
I know, I'm trying not to move around too much.
But not to say that you know, really leaning into something like that couldn't make something good. You know,
not at all.
It's just, it really makes it so you have to do it well in order for it to work.
I think one of my issues is that I don't consume a lot of content these days in the like short film world that I used to.
For sure.
So my ideas are like long narrative feature film things that it's like, if you're going to tell something, you stretch it out over 90 minutes to 2 hours, or a quick one-liner of a TikTok-sized video.
Yeah.
But that like sweet spot of short films where it's like, I want something that looks cool, that has some sort of message, but doesn't have to be like preachy. But I don't know, there's like a weird...
Well, and the bite-size factor is really good for getting people to see it without having to sit down for a full feature film. You know, it's a good jumping off point to really get those skills dialed, get your writing, you know, abilities dialed in and stuff, and really see what would work in the future for a bigger project like that. So
I think another thing that I get nervous about though as well is like, are we now in an era of content creation where like the stuff I want to be not seen for, but the things that I want to like lean into are just, they're not what's trending right now.
I mean, to an extent, it is good to pay attention to that in your work and stuff, but I'm reaching a point now where any content I make is really going to be for me and like what I want to see. And in my experience, quite a few times now, like when I really take the time to just be a bit more carefree about it and just do things that I think are cool, those are usually the things that get better recognition than the ones where I'm really trying to make something that will, you know, like, oh, people are definitely going to engage with this.
Well, and the crux is when you lean into that and you're like, this is the thing, this is going to blow people's minds, and then you put it out and the algorithm doesn't pick it up, the only takeaway isn't like, man, the algorithm, they screwed me. It's like, oh, I suck. Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm terrible at what
You're really setting yourself up for, I mean, just to view yourself in a poor light. Right. By doing that, you know.
Also, I just realized I'm not going to have the ability to do an intro tag, so maybe now's as good a time as any to legitimately say that this is the A.D.H. Deep Dive. Do I do my bit? Okay.
Just
hello.
Do the bit.
Hello. Should I do the bit? I'll do the bit. Hello, and welcome to the A.D.H. Deep Dive, the show that's not about ADHD, but is filled with proof it exists. My name is David J. Mund, and my guest today, who you've already been hearing, is actually not only one of my oldest friends, but the first ever live in-person A.D.H. Deep Dive guest.
Coming to you live
from Nikolai's living room. But also, I believe you're the first returning guest. I think I can confirm now, but I think I'm up to 25 episodes, so that's about 30 weeks, because I've had a few gap weeks. So out of like 20 guests, you're the first one to return.
Right on. Well, I had a great time the first time, and literally right after we stopped filming the last one, I was like, when can I be back
when
on?
Can we do that?
Yeah, there was so many unfinished points and stuff.
You know, John Kelly is also a big one of those guests where it's like, because John, I would consider one of my more, he's of course creative, but he doesn't really identify as a creative person.
For sure. Normie friend.
Exactly. But he knows a lot about like camera technology and film work. Yeah. So when he was on the podcast, it was like a cool, like, let's just talk about literally anything. Like, We talked about like accessibility of college education and like what that does to set you up.
Just flow of consciousness conversation.
And I think next time we're going to talk about, which is actually maybe relevant to this podcast, like AI technology, not just for like the takeover, but like this like Adobe Podcast, the new software that like helps you quickly cut podcasts together.
I saw a really cool one the other day because I've just been really audio brained recently, but did you see that remix tool that they have now where like if you have a song in your timeline and it's too short and you need like another like 30 seconds of music, you literally just like right click, go to the audio tab, remix, and it will automatically like fill it in to where it's seamless. Like you you could never tell.
Because there's like an actual lawsuit happening with like Drake and
The Weeknd,
yeah, because people are taking their voices and making AI generated audio.
Scary, dude. It is like on point with some of these.
But the thing is, I mean, we're not the only ones to be having this conversation, but like, what does that mean for content? Like, yes, the argument is like, you know, robots can't really replicate that human touch. It's like, not yet.
Disagree. Well, right now, no. Yeah. But I mean, I think media in general is heading in a direction to where it's, I mean, everything from advertising to the shows you watch are all going to be personalized to you. Like anything you can fathom that you would like to ingest as media will be able to be prompted and spit right at you. And I think it's cool in some ways because anything you could ever imagine, I want to see, you know, Josh Peck star in Mission Impossible in a penguin suit, and I can sit there and watch a 2.5 hour feature film about that.
But now you're Josh Peck, and you're looking at the fact that there's a Mission Impossible movie with you in it. You never got paid. You never read a script.
It's gonna be.
It's freaky to me.
Yeah,
Do you need humans to make art?
I believe true art or stuff that I am really going to get that feeling from of recognizing art and stuff. I don't think that knowing that it was AI, I wouldn't feel the same way.
The key
but
difference.
When you don't know,
we're moving into a like, is this real or not?
Yeah.
Like, and not to be, you know, I guess there is a tinge of political nature in it when you use the words fake news. But like, there's so much mis or disinformation online now that it's like, I don't know what I believe now.
There's videos that look very real and sound very real of like President Biden saying this, that, or you know, and it can be replicated so easily that we don't even know if,
which is,
you know, what
funny.
We're actually seeing on TV is actually.
Because there's two sides of that spectrum. There is President Biden announcing at the presidential Oval Office that the United States is under attack of nuclear threat and it could all be fake. But also one of the big things that I see is like shit posting fake conversations between Obama, Trump, and Biden.
They're so funny. I sit and watch the whole thing every time it comes up on my or TikTok or something.
It's like if that was what was happening with technology, I would feel much less uneasy because it's like it's just for the sake of entertainment. But it's sowing disinformation and civil unrest and making you question what's literally in front of your own two eyes. And that's weird as a content creator to be like, I want people to know that I really cared. If anything, I just want to put out content that people go like, David really cared about what he made.
Yeah.
But if there's an age of AI, somebody's first glance of like something that I spent maybe years writing, something that could be done in AI, it's just like, oh, he really whipped that together with a push of a button.
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, it's a double-edged sword because, I mean, in the creative department, obviously that's kind of the negative side of things, but the tools that it brings to the table for using AI alongside making your art, I think that's the utopia.
Well, even just what we do already before using AI, like presets for like color grading. The fact that it's there, it's not what I'm using definitively. I can then dial it back and use it as like a frame of reference.
Exactly.
Just like I love the idea of ChatGPT, like maybe being inspiration for something where it's like, I need an idea for a short film and then I'll
even for like drawing and stuff like some of the image generation things.
Exactly.
And then using that as a reference to then, you know, make your own art. It's cool.
It's the exact difference between like, what's the phrase for, like I'm looking at something and illustrating it from watching it, not freehand, but
like a reference.
Our producer in the back, what's the term?
Still life?
Still life, where I'm like looking at something and then drawing it as it's.
Well, that's just drawing.
Well, just drawing. You know, when you're drawing, it's like the difference between looking at something and drawing it and then
It's like using a reference or tracing it. They're like just two different styles.
There's no more spark notes. It's like the internet is giving me all of it, and then I can just put it out there and declare that I made it. Mm-hmm. And that makes me like...
Well, not only that, but these AI image generators are pulling from the vastness of the internet and actually technically stealing some people's artwork in a sense.
When it first happened, what was the first one? It was like Mid-Journey?
Yeah, I believe so.
They were pulling images and people were finding blurred, distorted Getty Images logos in the bottom.
There's a big one where when you ask it to create like oil painting stuff, there'll be like these squiggly lines everywhere, and that's signatures. Yep. They don't know what to make of it. They don't understand, which I don't understand why you couldn't prompt the AI to just be like, hey, this is what a signature is.
Right.
Don't pick it up.
But the argument can be made that like it's a good thing that they're having those issues now because it's happening in front of, like, I don't know. I want to preface that I don't necessarily like engage in this argument, but there is an argument that like ChatGPT is woke and like has like certain opinions that like I like identify with like leftist politics, and people on the right are upset with it. But the argument is like there has to be some sort of regulation in that, like whatever is out there, like this AI that's coming out can't have like malice against humans. It can't have a built-in system to steal art, but who controls that? I don't know.
I mean, it's all going to be trial by failure. I mean, and we're going to have probably some big, weird, scary failures before hopefully we reach that level, you know? Unless
the aliens touch down first. Of which,
fingers crossed.
I'm looking forward to it. Dude. I am covered in space. I've been waiting for this moment.
I'm seeing Tom DeLonge in like a week, so if they could touch down that night and I could be in the same room with Tom, that would be
Can
awesome.
You imagine? By the way, I am getting up. That's fine.
Am I okay to?
Yes, please. Okay. Do drugs. We're doing drugs on this podcast. Where are my drugs?
Butt drugs?
Butt drugs. Okay, so this is the A.D.H. Deep Dive and all. So the first 15 minutes are always literally just that. I don't give a shit.
Just rattling off about AI.
Just rattling shit up. But, you know, I'm here for a reason, of which I talked about last week, but the setup to, 2 weeks ago, whenever I was here, the setup to what we were doing ended up being wrong.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember you showing me the clip.
Yeah, I basically came in saying, like, I would like us to do a narrative short film that has something to do with...
It's like agoraphobia.
Agoraphobia, yeah, like you don't want to leave your house.
Or anxiety, I think was...
Anxiety, and I think this is anxiety-inducing, but not...
Yeah, it's adjacent.
Yeah, but not about anxiety. I think... I don't know, maybe I don't necessarily want to throw you to the wolves, but what is your perception on... Or what is your articulation of like what our intention was and like what we're doing now? Spoiler free.
Well, I mean, we had talked about it for a few weeks, probably close to a month beforehand, just kind of spitballing ideas. You were really, plucking away at a couple different script ideas and stuff. And that was kind of the intention going in. That's what we were going to do. And we went and grabbed some coffee and just tried to go like dial it in. And I don't even remember how we reached the point that we got, but once we had that spark of an idea, it developed so quickly.
Well, and we can kind of loosely talk about what we're doing. I don't want really
and the fact that it's like a short horror film, which it was still the original intent. We wanted to do something creepy, but
I really like visually. Like, yes, like as far as a writer, I like writing to what I know, which is anxiety and depression adjacent scripts. But visually, like I like really choppy static. I like making like quick cuts. I like not jump scares, but like slow unease building up.
Yeah.
And I didn't really know how we were going to do that with the script that we were building, but I knew that's essentially what I wanted us to try to do. Basically, I just wanted this to be an experiment. And here, okay, I actually threw this up as a note. Rhett and Link, for what it's worth, huge inspirational creators of mine and also Nikolai's. I've followed them when they were my online youth pastors, making short film content. But recently they've started doing new content, and it's like a combination of like vlog with narrative short film type stuff. Long story short, Link ended up saying something along the lines of like, this is just an experiment in saying yes to creative ideas, like allowing that creative inspiration to take you wherever it goes. It does not matter what the end result is, as long as it's something that you're proud of. So we ended up settling somewhere on, with this experiment in saying yes, an uneasy thriller about a collector of like, how do we...
Like oddities.
Oddities.
Yeah.
The main focus of this short film is centered around like an animal skull. That's really all I feel comfortable
For sure.
telling as far as story
It's gonna
goes.
be really cool, and yeah, I want the surprise to be.
Well, and like we mentioned at the beginning, like when you go in with this expectation that like, I'm gonna say something here, sometimes that thing you say can end up being a little cringy. If you let that go, which we kind of did, we're not really, there's an almost no dialogue in this short film in its entirety. There's a few lines.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah, that thing we're saying is more just like, look at this.
Mm-hmm.
Look what we did.
Yeah. We wanted to create, I remember there was a tipping point to where we were like, do we just scrap everything and just, come up with a new idea?
That was important.
Just creating it. Really, all the conversation went to what we wanted it to look like and how we wanted to, use a lot of color and shoot some low light stuff. I know was like a big thing going into it. So just thinking of those visuals and because we had all those oddity props and stuff that we wanted to use, and we just kind of started spitballing around that. And I think when we went away from that thing we wanted to say,
yes,
I think in the end we made a better product than we would have without it.
That's
for this specific project. I mean,
that's where like I'm learning a lot about ego too. It's like I get stuck on these ideas that I'm like, this is the idea, and then I pigeonhole myself into being like, now how do you pull that off?
Right.
Where like another thing that we said in this film was like, okay, we know we want to use a projector. How do we put a projector in this? And then we couldn't like find any ideas like for how to like really demonstrate that. And then once we had the like clarity or moment of clarity that we're like, oh, maybe the original idea we had is a little too on the nose to begin with. Let's allow that ego to be like, maybe that's not the best idea. Immediately a better idea came up.
Yeah.
It's like, if we would have just let that go. And I wonder how many times that I've made at least what I think to be bad content that I'm like, now is that bad because it was bad, or is it bad because I was too stubborn? I don't know.
In the end, it could even just not even be bad. You're just, over criticizing it too. Because I mean, I can't think of many, if any, things that you've created that I'm like, oh, that fucking sucks, man. Like, what is he doing? Like,
I think it's all like reflection too. Like in the moment, everything that we think that we're making is like, damn, that's so cool.
This is going to be the one and stuff. And having that energy while you're creating something is a good thing at the end of the day, because it gives you that motivation. We filmed for 14 hours.
Yeah.
Like, and it keeps you going.
And the reason I'm back here, the only reason we're able to do this podcast is because we need to do reshoots. So like,
like feeling that, like, oh, this is the thing in the moment, and actually like believing that this is gonna get me somewhere are two different sides of the that coin too.
And again, the bigger takeaway I think is it's not just like I need to tamper expectations. It's like I need to figure out what is the takeaway that I want. And this is another note, like what is our why? And it used to be for me like, I think to a larger degree it is like I do want to feel seen and heard and like understood in a certain way, but also like I think I need a reason to be proud of myself.
Oh, for sure.
And just to do a thing and look at it and be like, oh damn, that's cool.
Well, and looking back on what we shot and stuff already, it just makes me giddy, man. So that that became my new reason why, it's just to make myself happy, and in turn I think we make some pretty cool shit that might get some recognition.
I agree. I think, I don't know, this is always like I do get a lot of shit from this from my friends who do care about me deeply, but like I have this little mental block. Like I texted you the day I got home. I was like, man, that was so fun that now I'm depressed.
Yeah.
I was like I just had so much fun.
Depleted all of your serotonin.
It's like I had this amazing euphoric come up, and now I'm having an MDMA crash the next day where I'm just like, I don't have any happiness left to give.
No.
That makes me nervous when that gets like, okay, let's say we had so much fun shooting it. And I was very present that day. Really, I was. The expectation is we're going to edit this. It's not going to look exactly how we want. Things never do, but so be it. We're going to upload it. We're going to be happy with it. And then one day we'll look back and go, man, we had a lot of fun doing that. My nerves come from like, okay, what if I'm experiencing that depressive crash and all the footage turned out shitty? Yes. Now I'm like, what was all that for?
Right.
What was that happiness?
That 14-hour day and all the exhaustion and stuff. I mean, at the end of the day, just there's two dudes making some cool shit together and having fun doing it. You know?
Talking on a podcast 5 feet apart because we're not gay. a little. That's why I'm drinking LaCroix, because I'm a little gay.
I got bubbly.
Oh shit, what are you sipping? Oh, the tangerine. The orange cream.
Dude, yeah.
Can I try it? I don't think I've ever tried it.
At first, I did not like it, but it really grew on me quick.
Oh, it tastes like or it smells like
one of those popsicles.
The exhale is Jones orange soda.
Yeah.
The sip is water. You know?
It's the thought of an orange cream.
Exactly. Which I get it. A lot of people do not like sparkling water. But like,
it took me a minute to really come around to it. It's an acquired taste.
It's an acquired taste, and you gotta just like let it go. It's not gonna taste like soda because it's not soda.
Right, it's better.
It's right. You're hydrated. Oh, I see double horn. I thought this was like a
no.
like and nah.
She's the one that got me in.
All right, I'm gonna spike this audio.
Coming up on 22 minutes.
Yeah, and we don't need to fully reach the hour as long as I'd like to.
I think we got plenty to talk about.
Oh, we could do. So a little bit of a hard pivot. First of all, we didn't cheers. I'm out of coffee.
Let's punch
this. I'll fill this time by talking about this week's support. As usual, this show is sponsored by catandcrew.com. Katie and Andrew, very good friends of mine, also in a few bands now. I don't know how much I'm supposed to talk about that because they haven't put out any music or done any live shows now, but they've been sponsoring the show, supporting the show for a few weeks now. And as a result, if you go to catandcrew.com and enter the promo code Monday, it's MUNDAY, catandcrew.com, enter the promo code Monday, you can get 10% off your first purchase. Not only that, but they have a lot of cool new shit now. They've got some new shirts and new bags and designs. What is it? What's the word? Terms apply. There are certain new items in the store that they are not throwing that 10% off purchase on, but there are plenty of things in store that you can still, and that 10% off will apply to that order at the end, even if you get new shit. So catandcrew.com, enter the promo code Monday, MUNDAY, get 10% off your first purchase. Thanks for the coffee, Nick.
Absolutely, buddy.
What coffee or what creamer are we drinking today? Was that your butt?
Where'd you get?
Caramel macchiato.
No, it was my mouth. I was trying to think. Windy fart.
2 butts.
I'm going to do this because I will spill it.
2 butts.
10 butts.
Salud. Oh, that's thick. That's thick and creamy. So last night was cool.
It was.
It was I don't want to put you on the spot in this regard, but also I don't know if I have seen Live for Tomorrow live since I left, other than that party that you guys had me hop on the drums for.
Oh yeah, for a Blink song. It was it wasn't in Jessup's garage, was it not?
No, we were just jamming that day. It was at Lorraine's party.
Oh.
And you had me do a cover. It wasn't
Was it like maybe Fat Lip or something?
It was something like that.
Yeah.
I don't remember. Either
the
way,
old one that we did, I would assume.
Yeah. Yeah, I have not seen Live for Tomorrow since I left, other than just like being drunk at a party, like not an actual show. But I know that for a while there, I was doing that on purpose because I don't know if my ego would have allowed me to see that.
For sure.
That like, even though it was my decision to leave, I don't know, I had a lot of jealousy because like there's that post like leaving the band, like, oh my God, I've ruined my life. I've made a huge mistake. And quite frankly, like I was not in a band and I didn't play music for the next 10 years until now being in Midwest Skies. What is it so far removed now that it's not like that's the old drummer of Live For? It's just like, that's my homie.
Yeah, I mean, in our eyes, that's always what it was.
Right.
But, I mean, we knew if I was in your shoes, I would feel the same way. There's no way I could see that. I mean, at least while it was a newish thing, you know, I would need a couple years to come around.
I think I've talked to both you and Ethan about this. Like, right after I left, you guys had a really cool pop.
Yeah, I remember because
like, fuck.
Soon after you left, we recorded the cover of Love Yourself, and that was the first time we started working with our buddy Doug. Our production went way up. You know, prior to that, we'd only had demos released and stuff. It was none of it had ever been mixed or mastered or anything. So it was our first polished song, and I remember we hit, because you were with Say Something Productions at the time.
Oh yeah, I did. And we that music video.
We hit you guys up for that music video. And I sent you the song, and you're like, "That's not Ethan. That's not you guys."
I was bothered,
and I could tell it was a little.
Yeah. It's ego. I'm not above it. My ego, especially. I mean, this is late teens, early 20s. I can't remember. I was not yet 21 before I left Live For Tomorrow. I know that for sure.
This all happened when we were so young.
I know, and that's a big part of it too. Is like I'm so far removed from it, but it was so real at the time because it was all I had ever known. Yeah, that like those feelings.
It was our entire whole teenage years.
Exactly.
You know?
And that's so. Last night was a big kind of nostalgic representation of that. When I was in Live For Tomorrow, and have you guys done a Kalkaska show since?
Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, I think the last one was probably 2019.
Sure,
maybe.
Obscurus DM Productions. Damien,
shout out Mickey and
Doom. They produced and recorded our first EP as Live For Tomorrow. And through their production company's like live show thing that they do a bunch of shows in Kalkaska, Michigan. One of our first like big out of town shows was a Kalkaska show as Live For Tomorrow, and through that cycle we met the guys in Midwest Skies, of which that is the band I'm now in. Last night was the first time I had played Kalkaska in about 10 years. Everything is 10 years ago for me.
Yeah.
Like
it's the 10-year anniversary of a lot of shit. Your graduation, like.
Oh yeah, you're playing. Let's pivot to that. Recording on all? Mackerel.
Yeah, we're rolling.
Okay. It's very important to me that I pin the blame on the person directly responsible for what just happened. It's Nick.
Yeah, it's my camera. I have the time code right in front of me.
Basically, I mean, not that any of this matters to anybody listening, because for audio listeners, you don't even see any visual changes or anything like that. But our cameras only record for 30 minutes straight, and then they stop. They automatically clip. So we have to constantly re-clip audio. We're syncing 2 different audio devices with the video that's happening.
There's
here.
some tomfoolery going on.
If you understood how difficult it is to truly produce a podcast, you'd understand why I take weeks off without saying anything about it. Just come back a week later depressed. Sorry.
It's all right.
I was having a hard time. But what we were talking about is the fact that you're getting back to doing live music for the first time in a few years.
Yeah, quite some time. The pandemic kind of put a huge damper on music in general, and obviously there was
the pandemic stopped things in its tracks.
Well, and obviously there was near a year where we couldn't even see each other in person at all.
Right.
Granted, afterwards, once we could, the motivation. I mean, shows still weren't happening for almost another year after that. It took a lot out of us, and we really didn't get back to even making music until late 2022 or 2021 rather. So I mean, maybe not quite the amount of time that I just explained, but as far as Live for Tomorrow goes, yeah, it hasn't been a thing in quite some time, and we're starting to, the same group of dudes are getting together to play pop punk music again, basically.
Fuck yeah.
Doing acoustic emo night type stuff just to kind of get our chops back and get the chemistry back, playing in the same room together again.
And something that you actually just said that was probably cut, but that I've always wanted to see you do, but I've never heard you talk about it, was that you want to pick up the bass again. Mm. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I love what Kyle is doing with the split guitar and bass. Like the way that Midwest Skies is positioned, it's basically symmetrical on both sides. We got, for the people who give a shit, we got orange stacks on both sides. James is a left-handed guitarist. Kyle is a right-handed guitarist. But there's no bass guitar, so the guitar and the bass are both being split through Kyle's rhythm guitar coming through his orange amp, because there's no bassist on stage. But I love a good bass lick. And
honestly, because I don't know if it's gonna make it in or if it got cut or not, but we were talking a little bit about the jealousy factor of when you left Live for Tomorrow and stuff. Watching you guys last night, I was like, damn, I wish they would have a bass guitarist, because I would totally drive to Grand Rapids and practice.
There's a few people who have been like, if you guys need bass.
Yeah, and the symmetry, I don't know if I could fuck that up, because it is so pleasing.
I love the three-piece of it all, but there have been some times so before Midwest Skies, I could sing some harmonies, but I couldn't take direct melody leads because it was hard for me to drum and sing at the same time. So when I jumped in, I was like, hey, if you guys need a bass instead of a drummer, because the band bought the bass drum, the drum set for me to play. Mm-hmm. If they brought in a drummer who already had their kit, they were ready to spend that kind of money, they could have bought a freaking bass, and then I would have sang as well. So they had a bassist and a drummer.
For sure.
But now that I've kind of learned to do both,
that's where you should be.
The three piece. It's easy to get three people together every week.
Exactly.
It's hard to pull in another person, and
5 people is ridiculous.
There are people vying for those positions too, because when James had his baby, when James's wife Cassie had her baby, when James
had her baby,
when James, we were preparing for the Pyramid Scheme show. His daughter was born 3 days before our Pyramid Scheme show. So we were practicing with another person to possibly take James's position, only person who has been in Midwest Skies since its inception. So we would have been a Midwest Skies cover band on stage had James not made it to that show.
Oh, that's right.
Talk about jealousy.
Right.
If James wouldn't have made it to a Pyramid Scheme show.
To his baby.
Yeah.
That would have been rough. Yeah.
I would have resented my child for life. Are you fucking kidding me? But that's a real feeling too, because it's and I've also said this. Sometimes I try to consciously use the word jealousy and envy, where they're positioned, where they're supposed to be, because jealousy ultimately seems it's not helpful, right? It's where's it getting me? It's just gonna make me feel down. But if I envy, that kind of helps me set my focus. If I
give you motivation to strive toward something,
right?
There's nothing wrong with that,
right? Because you can use it as motivation, and I guess maybe it's semantics. It's just terms. It doesn't matter, But to me, I have to remember am I feeling jealousy or envy right now? Because I envy my friends who I love. I'm jealous of people who I don't think I actually like. You know what I mean? Where it's I'm better than you, or who I think.
Right, I deserve it more than you.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's that ego.
Yeah.
But if envy is envy helps me learn without being cynical and backhanded.
Yeah.
Because
it's ooh, that person has something I want. I'm going to bust ass to get that thing that I want now.
And a thing that I've done that my friend Molly has actually helped communicate to me is sometimes when you're the recipient of jealousy, it makes you feel bad because you're like if you're jealous of something I have, I feel bad because I want you to have it too.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And now I feel like I can't talk about it. I'm not saying this to you, Nikolai.
No, yeah.
But I feel like I can't talk about the thing I'm so proud of because you're sad you don't have it.
No, for sure.
You know what I mean? And that I know that I can do that to people. So I try to, again, to just find the distinction between envy and jealousy because I'm easily sad.
Sometimes it'd be like that.
It do be like that.
Yeah, I mean, we're all human.
I think a decent pivot to that too is one of the things that happened last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever we got together to shoot this. We went out to a bar and we used I don't know, I guess maybe I'm trying to draw a line between two things that aren't relevant. I'm just moving on to the next topic is what I'm trying to do. We went to a bar and brought our cameras, or I brought my camera.
Yeah, I think you just had yours, but...
Anyways, the point was, we're going to shoot some shit while we're out there.
It was a cool arcade bar. There was a lot of neons in there and stuff, pinball machines. It was just a cool location to shoot some cool photos.
Got footage of each other, shooting some skee ball and whatever. But along the way, while we were sitting down to eat, there was a band playing up above us. And I've been talking for a long time, so it's Nick's turn.
Yeah, so plug Protea Band, Protea Band, I believe, on Instagram.
You'll see it right here.
Yeah. So yeah, they were playing just an awesome cover set and stuff. We were really vibing out to it. And when they did an intermission, we were sitting down eating and stuff. And one of the members walked by, and David has kind of been trying to instill in me, bring your business cards places, reach out to people, use your camera to advertise for yourself. Because that's one thing I'm terrible about. The social awkwardness kind of steps in there. I just like to be the quiet guy behind the camera most of the time.
And rejection is uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But David kind of hopped up and introduced himself, gave him a card and, said, hey, if you ever need any band photos or anything. And immediately she was like, we actually don't have any band photos. We might actually get a hold of you. And I don't even know how it happened because you gave them your card. I didn't say anything.
I said something along the lines of here's my business card, but he's local, so I'd get in touch with him. Very quickly then.
Yeah, but I never gave him my Instagram handle. No. Somehow they found me.
They probably saw you when I posted the picture of you on my social media. They probably clicked your tag.
Yep. Yeah. So again, thanks to David, they reached out, and within a week of that conversation, they were sitting right in front of this
literally
wall,
right here.
Photos.
Can we show any images?
Yeah, actually. Okay, just put it right over me.
Pop, 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 pop. There you go. Yeah. That was your quick little.
That's what I did because of David.
Well, you didn't do it because of me, but right place, right time. Yeah. I think a big lesson to take away from that, not just for you, Nikolai, but David listening in the future, because I'm a narcissist who goes back and listens to my old episodes, but also first of all, as uncomfortable as rejection is, do you feel more anxious doing something that might bomb or something that could be really, really, really good? Because I'll be honest, my level of what's the word? I guess my level of shame or my capacity for shame has changed now. Okay. In I'm more comfortable doing something potentially embarrassing and getting rejection than doing something that somebody's going to compliment me for. Because I've experienced a lot of rejection. I am more familiar with that than I am with success.
Fair. Yeah, almost success would make you more uncomfortable than a bomb.
Exactly. I am so well-versed in failure that whatever. If they say no, then they use my business card as a coaster or they throw it away in the garbage. That's why I print them for 3 cents a piece.
For real. And it's easy to just go up, hand him your card, and just say, hey, if you ever need photos, bam. That's all the conversation has to be, even.
Well, and even last night, it's making yourself accessible to somebody who might be interested in you. So there was a guy who stopped by the merge table last night who was wearing a shirt that had a logo on. And I Now, maybe this is a sociopathic thing to do. I don't know. You tell me if this is shady.
No,
I thought
it was good. I mean, you were familiar. You actually, it wasn't a lie because you have had some of.
I have had it. Yeah. Okay, so basically, I'll just come right out and say it. This guy's not gonna listen. He was wearing a whiskey brand on his shirt, and I was basically like, "Oh my god, I love that whiskey." I don't remember anything about that whiskey. I've had that whiskey before, but the guy was basically like just looking by the merch table, about to walk by, was about to say nothing. I commented on his shirt. He then like turned. He's like, "Oh, this guy wants to talk to me. He's interested in me." That's an exciting enough opening for a lot of people. Because like this Protea band, they're like, nobody's even asked us. We're just a background cover band. We don't have any photos.
Yep.
You thought we were good? I'd love that.
Yep.
This guy was like, oh my God, this guy wants to talk to me. Talked for a little bit. He bought a shirt. So he would have just walked by and nothing would have ever happened. And if he was like, ha, cool, I like that whiskey too, and then walked away, great, I tried, so be it.
Well, still, even that, he knows you're in Midwest Guys. When he then sees you on stage, he's like, that guy complimented me.
Yep.
And he's going to make that little neural pathway, you know?
And one of the things that I try to do with the band too is that everybody knows it, let's be real, but I give them an avenue to be like, if we need to earn your money first, so be it. Like, come up to the table. I'm going to make you remember my face. I'm going to talk to you. I'm like going to be friendly with you. Then once you see on stage that we're not a cringy band, then you're like, oh, okay, this guy's nice and their music is okay. I'm going to go back over to the table. You just create avenues for people to like remember who you are.
Well, especially as a band, that's something you have to do. That needs to be a part of your work ethic, or else nobody's going to give a shit.
Well, like, don't even just think about it as a band. I mean, as a creative who's trying to promote their art as a business. That's what LFT's trying to do. Is what bands are trying to do. You just have to make yourself not necessarily memorable. You're not always trying to go viral, and viral isn't always the best thing. You just memorable. Some people believe that, all press is good press. I don't necessarily believe that.
A good impression goes a long way.
Yeah. And those photos are dope, and they wouldn't have happened if we didn't want to go get a drink.
Yeah.
You just got to make yourself accessible. Okay, let's maybe wind this down to a close a little bit.
Yeah.
And in that vein, I guess we can maybe talk a little bit about like some gig-related goals, especially because you were just talking about like the confidence it takes. Oh. I just found my pen. It was in my pocket the whole time.
Maybe you don't need to hit it.
The confidence it takes to even like approach someone is really intimidating. But how do you feel when you're actually like behind the camera or on stage? Like, is it the setup that makes you more intimidated, or the doing it that's more intimidating?
For both the examples you mentioned, they're two opposite ends of the spectrum for me. I've been doing music for so long that actually getting up there and performing is easy. The crowd, the bigger the better.
Yeah.
Whether it's 5 people or 500 people, talking on stage is not easy for me.
Oh, sure.
And when I'm behind the camera, I almost liked, I don't know. I really don't like shooting weddings at all. I realized that after doing a few. But being able to really be a fly on the wall for most of the day, besides the few times that you need something, not having to talk to anybody, that's my dream gig. Just being an operator is probably my strong suit. I don't know. Shout out to my partner Sabrina. She's been a great director on most shoots. I'll bring her in. She's great at posing people. She's very artful minded, so she knows good framing and stuff, and she's a good second hand to have on set.
She's also the what was the official title we're throwing on the credits of the short film? She's the art director on.
Yep.
I just gave away the title.
Beep it out.
Whatever. The art director on the short film we're making.
The art director on is mother blah 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 blah. Yeah. So gig related goals and stuff. What's something that you want to strive for even just over the summer or something, what's one thing you want to either land as a gig opportunity or creative goal for yourself?
Honestly, there is no thing that I want to do. I just want to continue to have the confidence to ride the wave. I feel like I am always fucking broke. But when I'm not doing anything, that's scarier and unmanageable.
Yeah.
If I'm riding a wave of creativity and also broke, at least I have that wave to pull me out. So it's like the band stuff is going well, the writing is going well, we're making really dope content here, and the podcast is continuing to get followers. My only goal is to literally just keep doing those things and not shaming myself into stopping.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
if that's attainable, I want that.
Mm-hmm.
So plug yourself. What are we plugging? Life or visuals?
Yeah. So, I mean, even one thing more on that subject too is like
No.
with Lifer, like I said, I had like shot weddings last year and stuff. Was kind of trying to find my place in the creative field, and my goal this year was to kind of shift into more or solely like music photography and videography. Yeah. And even just since you helped me book that band, I've gotten 2 other music gigs. I got a gig shooting live music at a really big festival up north here that I would have liked to go to anyway, but now I don't have to pay $300 for the weekend and stuff. Like, I'm starting to consistently get music gigs, and I am loving it.
Well, 2 things. One, that Protea shoot is going to do even more once they go public.
Yeah.
Like, that's just naturally generated social networking.
For sure.
And also, a thing that I mentioned to you last time that we saw each other, but also a thing that you can continue to take forward. Bring that fucking camera everywhere, because even if you don't like see an opportunity to take photos of something, there's so much assumed power when you have a camera.
Yeah.
Never lie to people. Never like force your way into some place that you're not supposed to be. But I've been so many places and I've had my camera that I've asked somebody, am I allowed to be in there to shoot if I just do street photography? A lot of people will just say, yep, you don't need to pay for the event. Just go in, tag our social media, do your posts. It's like, just business cards and bring your camera. Bring it. If you're a painter, bring your paintbrush everywhere. If you're a photographer, bring your camera everywhere. If you're a stripper,
bring that ass.
Bring that ass. And with that,
yeah, I think
anything else, buddy?
No.
Hey, I love you.
I love you too.
Cheers. Let's make some more dope footage about an undisclosed subject matter. See you next week.